The Secret Knowledge by the Grimm.
Walden by Henry David Thoreau. Summary. Economy. As the architect of my own life at Walden Pond, I chose simplicity and economy, not as mere scrimping, but as a means to greater freedom and independence. The world rushes after wealth and accumulations, mistaking these for security and happiness. Yet, in my small, self-built cabin, I discovered that true richness comes not from what I own, but from what I can do without. Life's necessities are few, and recognizing this liberates us from the fetters of unending desires. The modern economy enslaves with its endless cycle of production and consumption, whereas I advocate for a life where each item and each action serves a purpose, enriching rather than encumbering our existence. Where I lived and what I lived for. In the woods of Walden, I found more than a home. I discovered a new way of seeing life. Here, amidst the quiet simplicity of nature, the urgent and trivial pursuits of the world fell away, revealing what is truly valuable. Living deliberately means peering into the essence of life itself, unclouded by the incessant noise of society. Each morning was a fresh canvas, each day a deliberate choice. This deliberate living isn't merely about physical location. It's a mindset that asks, what is the true purpose of my life? By stripping away the superfluous, I sought to live so intentionally that the smallest details of life gained profound meaning. Reading. Books are the treasured wealth of the world, the fit inheritance of generations and nations. Yet, as I sat in my solitary cabin, I realized that reading is not merely for the accumulation of knowledge, but for the cultivation of the soul. The classics, with their enduring truths, push us to question and reflect, shaping our intellect and character. Modern reading habits prioritize quantity over quality, skimming the surface without ever diving deep. I urge a return to thoughtful reading, engaging with texts that challenge and grow us, for these are the true sustenance of the mind. Sounds. The Symphony of Walden is not composed of notes struck in haste, but of the subtle and profound music of nature itself. Attuning oneself to these sounds, a bird's song, the rustle of leaves, the ripple of water, is to tune into a deeper frequency of existence. In these moments, the cacophony of society fades, and one can hear the soft whispers of truth spoken by the earth. Listening, truly listening, requires a quiet not just of the surroundings, but of the mind. This silence is not emptiness. It is full of the music of the universe, waiting to be heard. Solitude. Solitude at Walden was never a mere absence of company, but a presence, a rich, enveloping atmosphere where the deepest parts of myself were revealed. In solitude, one does not escape from the world, but delves deeper into it. Here, in the quiet, I found not loneliness, but a communion with the world that was more intimate and profound than any society could offer. Solitude is a mirror, reflecting back not what we want to see, but what we truly are. It teaches us that the company we keep is not as important as the spirit we nurture within ourselves. Visitors. Each visitor to my woodland retreat brought the world to my doorstep, and with each interaction, I was reminded of the rich tapestry of human existence. Conversations ranged from the mundane to the philosophical, each leaving a mark, shaping my thoughts and reflections. These encounters highlighted the contrast between solitude and social interaction, revealing the value of both. True hospitality means welcoming ideas and debates as much as people, allowing our minds, and not just our doors, to be open. Visitors brought pieces of the world into my solitude, reminding me that engagement with others sharpens our understanding of ourselves. The bean field. Tending my bean field was both a meditation and a confrontation with life's primal rhythms. Each seed planted and nurtured by my own hands connected me deeply to the cycles of growth and decay that govern all living things. This labor was not mere agriculture. It was an act of living fully, grounded in the earth's rich soil. My bean field taught me the discipline of daily care and the virtue of patience, revealing that the fruits of labor are as much about the cultivation of character as they are about the harvest. In every furrow, I saw the reflection of life's larger struggles and triumphs, a microcosm of human endeavor. The village. My occasional journeys to the village served as stark contrasts to my secluded life at Walden. Each visit was a reminder of the bustling pace of societal life, where each individual was swept up in a whirlwind of commerce and social exchange. However, these visits also offered a mirror to my own choices, reinforcing the value of my solitude and the peaceful rhythm I had cultivated away from the relentless noise and demand of civilization. The village, with all its chatter and commerce, underscored the profound peace found in the simplicity of Walden, where life was stripped of pretense and reduced to its essentials. The ponds. Walden Pond, more than just a body of water, was an ever-changing canvas that reflected the shifting moods of nature and my own inner transformations. The pond was a source of both physical and spiritual sustenance, a place where the boundaries between the self and the natural world blurred. Observing the pond through the seasons, I witnessed the fluid dance of light and shadow, freeze and thaw, stagnation and clarity, each state a metaphor for the human condition. The pond taught me about depth and surface, about what lies visible, and what is hidden in both nature and in ourselves. Baker Farm. Visiting Baker Farm, I encountered the stark realities of other lives, so different yet bound by common threads to my own. Here, the raw edges of human struggle and the simple dignity of survival were evident. My interactions with the inhabitants of Baker Farm offered a poignant reminder of the essential challenges many face: shelter, warmth, sustenance, and how these basic needs frame the human experience. It reinforced my understanding of self-sufficiency, not just as a physical or economic condition, but as a state of spiritual and moral independence. Higher laws. In contemplating the higher laws of human nature, I delved into the ethical and spiritual dimensions that govern our actions. This reflection brought into focus the inherent tension between our base instincts and the higher moral aspirations that compel us toward nobility and virtue. At Walden, surrounded by the simplest forms of life, I grappled with questions of necessity versus desire, of the material versus the spiritual. This chapter of my life demanded a rigorous examination of my own values and choices, challenging me to live not just deliberately, but righteously. Brute neighbors. My encounters with the wildlife at Walden, my brute neighbors, were constant reminders of the interconnectedness of all life. Observing their instincts and interactions, I saw the unvarnished truth of existence, unclouded by human pretensions. These creatures, driven by simple needs and desires, offered lessons in the fundamental impulses that drive all beings, including humans. Their presence posed questions about the nature of community and solitude, instinct and intellect, highlighting the primal commonalities that link us to all living things. Housewarming. With the arrival of winter, my attention turned to fortifying my home against the cold, an endeavor that symbolized the human instinct for preservation and comfort. The housewarming was not only a physical act of heating the small cabin, but also a metaphorical warming of the soul within its walls. This chapter was about creating a space that was truly mine, a sanctuary that reflected the internal warmth fostered by a life of thought and reflection. Preparing for the cold, gathering fuel, and feeling the first heat penetrate the chill taught me about preparation, foresight, and the warmth of security that comes from being well-prepared and self-reliant. Former inhabitants and winter visitors. As I dwelled on the history of those who had lived near Walden before me, I felt a deep connection to the past and a sense of continuity that transcends individual experience. The stories of former inhabitants reminded me that this land was not just mine, but shared through the ages by many souls, each with their own tales of survival and living. Winter visitors, whether human or animal, brought with them their own insights and interruptions, enriching the quiet landscape with their presence. This communion with the past and present visitors wove a richer tapestry of my experience at Walden, blending solitude with a shared history. Winter animals. The winter animals around Walden provided stark illustrations of adaptation and endurance. Observing their behaviors, I was reminded of the resilience required to thrive in harsh conditions. These creatures, with their uncomplaining fortitude, were lessons in the simplicity and economy of nature's ways. Their lives, driven by the raw necessities of survival, were powerful reminders of the fundamental impulses that drive existence and the strength inherent in adaptation. This chapter deepened my appreciation for the subtle and overt strategies of living that all creatures, human and non-human, employ to navigate the challenges of their environments. The pond in winter. Exploring Walden Pond in winter, when it was sealed beneath a sheet of ice, was like peering into another world. The frozen surface, a barrier between the known and the mysterious, invited reflection on the unseen depths beneath. Cutting through the ice to fish was not just an act of sustenance, but a metaphor for delving into the depths of the self, seeking nourishment from below the surface of everyday existence. This chapter was about the discovery and exploration of the unseen, the effort to reach deeper understanding, and the beauty of the hidden aspects of nature and self. Spring. The thawing of the ice at Walden heralded a rebirth, a palpable sense of renewal and possibility. Spring's arrival was a vivid and dynamic celebration of life's resilience and its cyclical nature. This season transformed the landscape and my spirits, injecting vibrant color and vitality into the stark white and browns of winter. Spring taught me of the power of renewal and the inherent promise of rebirth inherent in all endings. It was a time of planting, both literal seeds in the earth and metaphorical seeds in the soul, anticipating the growth that follows thoughtful cultivation. Conclusion. In concluding my sojourn at Walden Pond, I reflected on the essence of the lessons learned and the life lived in such intimate communion with nature. This chapter was a synthesis of understanding, a distillation of all that solitude and simplicity had taught me about living deliberately. I emerged from Walden not just with a set of philosophical beliefs, but with a lived experience that confirmed the value of reducing life to its barest essentials to find the true wealth it has to offer. This departure was not an end, but a beginning, carrying the profound lessons of Walden into the broader world.
Thank you for staying with us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, buy the book by clicking on the link in the description.